John and Teresa McComiskey in the townland of Lead, Hilltown, County Down, and I'm delighted to have John and Teresa with me. Well, Johnny, I have to say this is an excellent rockery you have here. Tell us, how did this all come about, Johnny?
Well, it's a natural rockery, if there's such a thing as a natural rockery. That used to be covered in winds. And me and Teresa decided here about 15, 16 years ago to take the winds off it and try and re-soil it and do a bit of planting. As Teresa is the flower artist.
Flower lady.
Yeah, I'm just the worker. I wouldn't know the difference between a flower and a weed, so Teresa has to tell me, that's a flower, don't pull that, or that's a weed.
Well, as you know, Johnny, my late father was a great man for gardening, and I have to say, there's quite an array of flowers and bushes here.
Yeah, well, that here,
this is the lady herself.
We have to give Teresa the credit for all
Teresa,
that.
obviously you have an interest in the gardening yourself.
Love it, yeah, love it. Yeah, good hobby.
And
hard work, but a good hobby.
Yeah, and then of course, Johnny, we have the little cottage over to our right here.
Yeah.
And we have a group of gentlemen, ex-footballers and all here this afternoon.
All famous footballers.
Yeah.
If they weren't famous footballers, they're famous managers.
Yeah.
And we have a very famous Kilcoo man, Tommy Grant.
Tommy, yes.
Yeah,
and
a great judge of football.
Great judge of football. And it's great that men like this meet and recall stories of old Johnny.
Well, we keep saying that we're maybe not doing it often enough, for there's going to be a day that one of us not going to be here.
Yes.
So we normally take a photograph after every meet-up, just to make sure that we have.
Well, this is my second time with you. I was sort of introduced here in January, Johnny, and it's great to be part of.
You're ordained there at our last meeting.
Yes.
And we've Cathal Pigney now ordained.
Yeah, Cathal from Savile also has joined the group, and we'll be meeting a lot of these people later on. Well, Johnny, we're going to take a look now, Nicky with the camera here, we're going to take a look at the little cottage up here. Johnny, tell us the history behind this little cottage here now.
Well, there were 7 of a family reared in here, known as the O'Hare family. As you can see on the front, it's known as O'Hare's cottage.
Yes.
There was the daddy and mommy, 3 boys and 2 girls.
And they were all reared
in a room and kitchen.
In that small house.
And the most famous one that maybe you would know would be Jared, the ex-Sinn Féin councillor in Hilltown.
Jared O'Hare.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there was an awful mix-up last election that he didn't get elected again.
He done great work, I take it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant for the people of Hilltown.
Yeah.
Lots of nice.
And he's sadly missed in the Hilltown area.
And as I say, Johnny, you have it in great shape here. You have your walls plastered with sand and cement, and of course the bushes and the trees outside here. And you have your holly green half door, Johnny.
Yes. Painted by our cousin Johnny McAlevey.
Johnny McAlevey, yes.
Good Clontough goalkeeper.
Johnny and myself here are second cousins. I can remember being here, Johnny, years ago. I'm 65 now, so I think it was about 9 or 10, so it's 50 years ago. Gad Spuds over in these fields here from you.
That's right.
And your late father Stanley.
That's right.
Your brother Dan and Pat and Peter. Yeah, and it was great times, and your mummy was a great woman for baking bread, Johnny.
Loved the Turkish down there.
That's right. Yeah. But as I say, Johnny, you know, a lot of traditions are dying out in this country in Ireland, and it's sad too, really.
Well, it's but this house here, we had trees actually in front of the house to hide it. It was that ill or sore looking.
Yeah.
There was a tin roof on it. There had been cattle in it by maybe 15 or 20 years ago.
Right.
And we decided during lockdown that we talked about knocking it down. So we took the roof off it, and it ended up then, we said, God, it's too good to knock down.
Yeah.
We've got a fellow, Sean McGee, here done a great job. Any building was to be done it. Plastering to be done. He was walking over Morgan's Quarry at the time.
Yeah.
And he would have said to me, you have a gauge of mud and mixed at 7:15 and I'll be with you.
And he done that.
And everybody was saying to us, this lockdown, for many night here, it was 11 o'clock. By the time we got the mixer washed out, a bit of crack.
Well, it changed a lot of things, and I think it got a lot of people more together, Teresa, like talking and have you this COVID-19 thing.
The first set was great because nobody went anywhere and everybody was gathered in their own bubble.
That's true.
But unfortunately, it's slipping back into the old way.
I think it is, Johnny.
Unfortunately.
And people aren't going out much now, sure they're not.
No, we said maybe lockdown would take people to their senses and change the whole way of people thinking of living, but people's back into their own city habits, you know what I mean?
I suppose, Johnny, too, you know, you get a lot of Canadian and American tourists coming, and they would be delighted, obviously, to see something like this.
That's right.
An old Irish cottage.
Actually, I had a fella, Brian McQuaid, up at the border, you know, and he come here to come to football with me one day, and I hadn't been here maybe for 15 years, 10, 15 years. But the trees was here, he didn't see this house, you know.
Yes.
And he come, God, he says, where did that house come out of?
Yeah.
You know, and I says, my Aunt Maggie lives up there.
Right.
You know, and he come up and he started knocking the door, and he didn't want to be cheeky. He started looking weird at the mountains, you know.
Yes.
And I says, no, her hearing wouldn't be that good, Brian. Knock a bit harder,
yes.
you know. And he started banging away, and I let him maybe stand for 5 minutes or so. Brian, I says, no, there's nobody lives in there. And every time he meets me now, he'll ask me, how's your Aunt Maggie doing?
Yeah.
You know, so it's a bit of, it turned into a good joke. Like.
And I suppose, Teresa, it's great for not only your children, but your grandchildren to see this old cottage been restored.
Well, they love it as coming up and talking about the bar.
Yes.
And the mineral help themselves. But now they're getting bigger, it's like everything else. Time's moving on. But they still enjoy it. They love hopping round, play about, and they kick football.
They come in and they say, I'll do the bar.
Yes.
They're barmaid and barmen when they're here, you know.
And I have to say, Johnny, the views we have here, we're looking out at mountains here. Can you tell the local folk, Nicky will probably zoom round and get a few shots of these mountains round to our right here.
Now, I can't see the hen. Actually, I had walked them mountains. One's the Cock Mountain, the one that's just looking to the right of them trees.
Right.
And the Hen Mountain is maybe if we move this direction.
Yes.
Get in the Hen Mountain.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We're just getting the side of the Hen Mountain. You come here, Nicky.
Yeah.
You need to come on here, Nicky.
Johnny, you've walked them mountains for many years, and you still do.
No, it was only during lockdown. I had been that busy with football.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Trying to manage.
Yeah.
And people says to me, you managed. I only tried to manage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's only from lockdown I started to do a right bit of walking.
Yeah.
Different people were saying to me, you're retired, what are you doing? You know?
Yeah, and you've told them this.
I says, I'm talking. I'm walking and talking.
Yeah.
He says, well, you're always right and good at talking, so the walking should be no problem. But then after a while, you see people that say, you're out walking. Have you done the sleep donard?
Yes.
So I had to do the sleep donard.
I remember, Johnny, you sent me a wee video
I
of
was
you
sending you a wee video.
at the top of Donard.
That's right. Well, everybody's asking. Once you say you're out walking, automatic, people say, have you done the
big one?
Have you done the so?
Yeah.
It was, and what was that?
You were 71.
Oh, 71.
When you
actually,
did.
when I done it.
Fair play
I
to you,
intend to
John.
do it again, you know.
Yeah, I did it when I was 30 in 91, when Down won the All-Ireland, Johnny, a couple of weeks before.
Brilliant.
But I don't know, I'm sure, as the man says, you took your time, Johnny.
That was the whole thing.
secret.
I think it took us
Lovely
maybe
day, it was
3 and it was brilliant. Couldn't
Yeah.
ask for a better day.
And a lot of people now, Johnny, take in Donard with all these, 6 or 7 peaks in Ireland.
That's right. It's a big challenge now.
Yeah.
It's a big challenge. But I tell you, the thing that I find about walking is the good people you meet out there
Yeah,
from all parts of Ireland.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like even like you'd meet maybe people like say from Bangor, like, and like you'd be saying to yourself, like, would I go to Bangor for a while?
I know.
You know, that sort of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So maybe they're up holidaying, or maybe friends up here and they take in the mountain when they're here, like.
And-
But it's a good healthy way of.
And Johnny, you were a great man for the football, and Teresa, you went to a lot of All-Ireland finals, understand, over the years, and with your late great friend, I have to say, I have to give him a wee mention, Pat Mournes, Johnny, great friend. And there you have it, folks, where, as I say...
Actually,
Yes,
this
John.
will be next year. Will be our 50th All-Ireland final in a row.
Is that right, Johnny? Are you going to mark the occasion?
Oh well, yeah.
Good man.
Even the year of COVID.
Yes.
Even though what's the team's gone in.
Yeah. Aye, outside
Yeah,
Dublin.
actually, to be honest, very few knows this. Me and Teresa dressed up as 2 skirts
Did
with
yous?
high face face.
Good man.
on, and we got in.
Fair play to you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that leaves us.
You've never missed one.
I never
Johnny.
missed
There's
one.
not too many people can
No,
say that.
no. Well, I pulled a wee trick that day with a guard. So
Is that right?
I had to-
Right.
a fella, Mulgrew.
Yes.
He was a good friend of Sean Boylan's.
Yes.
From
He got-
Drumshackla.
he got you.
He got me in.
Good
yeah,
stuff.
for me and Sean. I got to know Sean through the time of the county with Paddy.
Yes.
And gentleman.
Johnny, you've made a lot of friends through football too, right?
Maybe no enemies.
Yeah. And
I know it's your own fault. If you make enemies, it's your own fault.
And Johnny, your beloved Clonduff, 25 years ago since they won the championship,
That's right.
when you were actually managing the opposition
That's
later
right.
on.
That's right. It was a hard one. It was a hard one to take part in.
Yes.
To be truthful, you know what I mean? And when I went to Leitrim, not in my wildest dreams
Did you ever think
did I think I'd be in a championship final
against
the
club
team I played for?
Yes.
25 years married that year.
We were 25 years married that year.
And I take it, Johnny, you're 50 years married this year.
30th of August.
There you are. There'll be a bit of a shindig, will there?
Well, with the lad in Australia, he's coming home.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
we're heading to Killarney for 11 days, you know.
Great stuff.
I tell Teresa, if she had a mowed at me, she'd have been out twice over.
Well, there you
And
are.
most of the time I'd say she felt it more than before. It's never in the house.
Well, Johnny, you're a bit like myself. It must be in our genes. We like talking. We could talk all night. Isn't that right, Teresa?
I always say it takes very little to say hey, hello.
Yes, doesn't cost you anything.
We'd be out walking and I'd say to Teresa, what do you see? This person, they're not going to speak.
Yeah.
I'd say, you know, they're looking. And I'd say, good man, how you doing?
Yes.
And like,
Head down.
and maybe it's not fair to say that.
Yeah.
You don't know maybe what problem that poor fella has.
That's right.
And I find even speaking to somebody that it maybe made their day.
Well, they
Maybe
say
they're
it's
not
always good to talk,
It's
John.
always good to talk.
Yeah.
And both of me and you's both good at that.
Well, so they say that.
That's right.
If you're a millionaire, you're getting paid for it.
Yes. And as I say, Johnny, it's absolutely lovely. And we'll take a look at these flowers here. Teresa, you'll tell us
Teresa
what
will talk you through them for
Yeah,
us.
you have roses and
Carpet roses.
carpet roses down here, Nicky, to your left if you follow around here. And these pinky flowers here,
The pink are both, pink and the lemon are both carpet roses.
carpet roses, folks, there you are. Anybody that's into your gardening, we can see there close up, our cameraman Nicky. Carpet roses here, both pink and yellow. Well, Johnny, as I say, we have to congratulate you on the rest of the boys in here. We'll be talking to them later. But thank you very much for your hospitality here. We had Irish stew, folks, and also we had homemade apple tart and ice cream courtesy of John and Teresa McComiskey here.
And there'll be a cup of tea later.
There you have it, folks. We'll be talking to a few more people here later on. Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
We have some very famous people in our group here this afternoon. This group has been established about 7 or 8 years ago by Mr. P.J. McGee, a great Leitrim Fontenoy Gael and a man who guided St Malachy's High School in Castlewellan to numerous All-Ireland titles. We're going to start off, first of all, we have Mr. Jim Milligan, a man who played in the 68 All-Ireland for Down, and beside Jim we have Colm Shields, another great Fontenoy man, played in the middle of the field and played in the half-forward line. And beside Colm we have Johnny McComiskey, our host here this afternoon. Have to say, is an excellent host. Johnny played for Clonduff, he managed Wern Point and he managed Leitrim Fontenoys, and they were defeated by his native Clonduff in the year 2000. And Ballymartin as well. And beside Johnny, of course, we have Mr. P.J. McGee. P.J. no stranger to anybody in Down football. As I say, he played for Leitrim Fontenoys. He guided Rostraver to a senior championship final in 1988 when they defeated Mayo Bridge. He also guided Longstone to an intermediate championship title in the year 2002. And beside PJ, we have Mr. Tommy Grant. Tommy, a lifelong Kilcoo fan, and Tommy was absolutely delighted when Kilcoo lifted the All-Ireland title in 2022, a day that Tommy will never forget. And beside Tommy, you have a new member to the group here this afternoon, a man, Mr. Cathal Digney. Cathal played for Down. He played along with Colin McAlarney. I think he played in 1981, would that be correct, Cathal? He also played for Saville, and believe it or not, folks, my very first match that I ever commentated on, Cathal played in it. It was actually the replay of the Down final in 1981, where Saville were so unlucky, beaten in extra time in a replay. Besides Cathal, we have the great Colin McAlarney. I first met Colin in 1971. I was a first year at St Mark's, and Colin was my PE teacher for 2 years. A man who I have a lot of respect for, and he is just a great man to chat to and talk to. We could talk to Colin all afternoon. And of course, man of the match in the 1968 All-Ireland final, him and his partner here, Jim Milligan. And next beside Colin we have Mickey Cunningham. Mickey, alongside Mickey we have Willie Kane. Mickey and Willie both played for the county, and the first time I ever seen these two gentlemen playing, my late father John Russell took me to the championship final of 1970 as a 10-year-old, and this great Brainsford team beat St Mary's Bourne 3-11 to 0-4, and Bourne, I think Eamon Fitzsimons only got 4 points from frees that day. They didn't actually score from play. So Mickey, and they were most unfortunate, these two gentlemen, not to win an All-Ireland club title. They came up against East Kerry, which was a divisional team of maybe 6 or 7 different clubs. So that's our group here this afternoon, and we'll be talking to them individually and as 2 or 3 together very shortly. Thank you. We're delighted here to have with us this afternoon Jim Milligan, his midfield colleague Colin McIlarney, and Colin's midfield colleague playing for the Fontenoys, Colin Sheens. First of all, we'll come to Colin McIlarney. Well, Colin, it's great that we can have gatherings like this, and as I was saying to Johnny McComiskey earlier on this afternoon, not enough of this takes place, and I'm sure you would agree with that.
I totally agree with that. When you're playing, you're living, you're in the moment. You don't realise the importance and significance of it until much later in retrospect. And then normal life intervenes, after your playing days until retirement, you could say. So I would say you're not aware of the friendships and the bonds that you make. You enjoyed that time. It was a magical time in our lives, but you were not fully aware of the importance of the friendships that you made, both with your teammates at club and county level, and also with your opponents. And that is just one huge strength of our association. Far more important. If someone asked me what's the most important thing of my experience of playing, it would be the friendships that you made and the bonds that you created that are lifelong. And I think, my midfield partner here, Jim, was the first to, for example, our 1968 team, where we had we'd got together for our 25th. That was the first time we'd got together in Croke Park, but that was different. That was a big formal occasion and stuff. And then actually Jim was the initiator of our 68 team getting together about 10 years ago or so. And that has been absolutely brilliant. And I think from that, it sparked all the other kind of relationships that are here now, and they're terrific as well. A lot of people are aware of the link-ups that we have, and they envy them. Yeah. And I think what happens maybe with a lot of teams of my time is they've left it too long now. Yeah. Left it too long, and then it's hard to do now. But hopefully we can continue with these kind of things as much as possible. And you know what it is? You hardly ever talk about the matches, as we noticed. Yeah. Notice that? Yeah. It's the banter and the slagging, and this man here beside me, he's top notch at that, all right. Well, you and him, Colin, played for the Fontenoys in the mid-70s, and understand you played some great games against the mighty Brainsford, or the two gentlemen here to my left. Oh yeah. And you were a bit unfortunate, it has to be said, not maybe to win a championship in that stage of your career, Colin. Oh, without a doubt. It's a regret. You always have regrets when you look back, and that's a huge regret. Because that Leitrim team, it was a special group at that time, just a special group that had got together and grown up together from the mid-60s in the old East Down Intermediate League, and there would have been Bransford, our neighbours Bransford, in that, and Lough Island. We're all in that East Down Intermediate League. And actually, during those years, I know that Mickey and Willie would agree with that, there were tight matches, but we would have always had the edge, both in the 15-a-side and in the 7-a-sides particularly, during that particular time. But actually we were, of the trio, we were the ones who didn't end up winning the senior championship, whereas Brantford won multiple, and Lough Island also 50 years ago this year, in August this year, pipped us in the semi-final in Newcastle. That was a year where Bransford, who was it that beat you that year early on, Mickey, and who was it that knocked you out? in the was it Tecon? No, oh Breda. It was Breda. Yeah, Breda. In the early rounds, and I remember us hearing that after there was a full round of championship matches that day.
We couldn't believe it.
Result, we couldn't believe it, and we said, right, this is our year. But we'd forgotten about Lough Island. The day also they had been in 3 previous finals.
Yeah, that was
lost them, so they were a formidable crowd. And then the 2 teams met as scripted. It should have been the final, but it was the semi-final that year. Huge crowd in Newcastle, and Lough Island beat us by 1 point, and then went on and beat Rostrevor. I'm not saying that Rostrevor would have been easy beat in the final, no way, because it was a tight final between us. Yeah, so that's a big regret. I think the talent that Bransford had constantly coming through year after year was an important factor too. Plus they had Sean Smith, who was, as we all agree, Carol, talking to Carol earlier today, all of us who had the pleasure and privilege of being managed by Sean Smith realised that the guy was light years ahead. He really was. I mean, their teams are, there's tactics and strategies being used now that Sean Smith was using 50 years ago. Now, a manager's not going to win it on his own. He has to have the players, which Bransford did have. So, yeah, a big regret. But having said that, huge enjoyment. I enjoyed every second of my playing career with Leitrim and with Castlewellan, both equally, and just look back on that on those years with huge affection.
And I suppose we'll go to Colm Shields here. Colm, it must have been a great thing for the Leitrim club whenever your colleague here, Colm, won the All-Ireland medal in '68. What was the feeling like about the village at that time?
It was just brilliant. As if everybody won their All-Ireland medal.
Yeah.
To have Willie and Colm.
That's right. We forgot about the great Willie Doyle. And you played a little time for yourself for Down, Colm.
Mine was on the 21s.
Very good. Yes.
Yeah.
And getting to James here now. James, you played with Colm that day in '68 against Kerry. Can you recall much about that game? And I'm sure you've watched it on numerous occasions.
I when I'm in bad form, some nights I just go home and play it. Just put me in bed.
Is that right? Yeah, but yourself and Colm have built up a great relationship since that, and it's great to see that, James. A lot of guys now wants to quit playing football. That's it, finished. I've heard of players that go to training now, they don't socialise or nothing, they get into their cars to go home, where it's not like, for an example here this afternoon.
No, you just get out of touch, and the reason I really met up, Colm was ill at the time.
Yes.
And I phoned up just to see how he was, and wasn't there. I left a message with him just to get in touch with me. So went off and had a coffee a couple of days later, and we spent about 3 hours over over a cup of coffee and a couple of sandwiches. And
but could I just intervene here? His introduction that time was, Colm, I've heard that you're not well.
Yes.
Could we have a coffee before it's too late? I just love that black.
Yeah.
Right.
And tell us, Jim, did you ever actually play against each other in club football?
We did, but I think against Leitrim, I think Leitrim were trying to defend him because we put him in big living, what do you call him? Middleton in midfield.
Yeah.
So,
and you played for, was it Dunsford?
Dunsford,
yeah, Dunsford. And Dunsford obviously no longer now, but it's obviously Ardglass.
It's the same parish.
Yeah.
So we would have just gone past one. Well, that would have been it, thank God.
Yeah.
But no.
What do you think, Jim, the current state of how Gaelic games are played with the introduction of all these new rules and what have you?
I'm not an expert in that.
Yeah.
I know more about taxidermy than the football at the moment. I'm starting to enjoy watching it now.
It's a bit more
it for ages.
Yeah, it was getting very dull and boring. Colm, you had teams winning matches 178 points, where now it's you know, all this 2 points and what.
Yeah.
It's a match to the hurling now.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they needed to do something drastic because people were voting with their feet, Colin, would I prefer to say. They just weren't attending games.
Well, it's a fact. I mean, there's matches you couldn't look at. You literally couldn't have watched it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I think sport in its purest form is all about risk and about jeopardy. And that risk and jeopardy and chaos, a certain kind of anarchic chaos, is back in the game and people love it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the players are hugely enjoying it as well.
Yeah.
Because it can you imagine, you know, the like of David Clifford? It's wonderful to see, you know, a generational talent like him being allowed to showcase that class that he has. Because in the way that the old game was, 15 behind the ball, sure he was suffocated out of it.
Yeah.
Now and all talent like him can express themselves well. So that's really, really good to see. But can I say about these two men here?
Yes.
Alan was saying about Willie and I, you know, been in '68 quite easily, and I think all the rest of you that knew the Leitrim team at that time, Colin could have been on the squad. Joe Muirhead as well was another. So for a small little rural club, it would have been a possibility, a very distinct possibility.
Should have happened.
And should have happened. That should have happened. That there would have been 4 from one wee junior club. It would have been amazing. But that is the truth. And Jim and I just, I think it was just an understanding that just developed from the very beginning. Because midfield is a partnership, I always say. And it certainly was in those days. And I was very fortunate that Jim we shared the same sort of philosophy of the game, and we both came from a basketball tradition. That's another side.
You actually taught me basketball at St. Mark's, Colin.
Yeah, it's a pity that basketball was huge back in Easttown when we were young, and fortunate then to have played the game because it's a great complementary game for Gaelic football. So we just understood each other. And in that All-Ireland final, I got man of the match. Jim should have got it. That's right. But the point about it is, there's a funny story with Jim and I. What we used to do was the 8 and 9, you know, jerseys.
You swapped them, did you?
We used to swap the jerseys for just to keep Micheál O'Hare confused. Because we were both similar in physique in that day. And then the camera work, you know, think about it. A bit further away from the leg of Micheál O'Hare. So in that All-Ireland final, if you listen to it, there are several times Jim's on the ball, and at the end, Colin McAlarney's having a wonderful game here in midfield. And the thing is, so the point is that I could very easily have gone to Jim that day without a shadow. And you told the story, Jim, that you very nearly didn't play. Remember, because you'd hurt your back. Imagine that. Yeah. That would have been.
Well, who would have replaced Jim in that final column?
We didn't have Colin, but the point about it is, it would have been.
I was worried. I was. After training all that shame come out, I was thinking, geez, who'll be getting this going in instead of me after doing all the work? So I never thought about it.
That was just amazing.
And of course, in them days, Colin, you know, we hear about all these teams staying overnight prior to the game and all. You've probably travelled on the morning of the match to the games.
Yeah, we did, and thank God we did, because there was a huge mistake made with our minors. I was in the All-Ireland minor final. We were the first group to get to an All-Ireland minor final in 1966. And of the 5 teams that have gone, we have the dubious distinction of being the only one that lost. And yet I would say, honestly, that 66 minors side were at least as good, if not better, than any of the other 4 that won All-Ireland. Yeah. But one of the disastrous mistakes in the end was they brought us down the night before that All-Ireland final to, I think it was the Portmarnock Hotel. Stayed in the Portmarnock Hotel. Now you imagine, that was 17 and 18-year-olds then. Brought down the whole squad the night before, and you were going to be sleeping in you know, in a different room, in a different beds and all that kind of thing. All of that knocked out of sync But also there was a dance. There was a dance.
She all went to it.
Because there were two priests in charge of us, and
Yes.
they went to bed at about 10 o'clock out of the road. And then they went down, and imagine this, at the dance, there was a lot of Dublin lads there, and they heard our accents, and they started to call us Paisleyites. And Brenton Sloan decked one of them.
Yeah.
And there was a fight. Imagine we were fighting in the hotel.
Yes.
On the night before the All-Ireland. Hardly any sleep got. So what a disaster to have happened. So I think Down learned lessons from those kind of things, and you know, it's not majorly far, thankfully, from Down to Dublin, and we went down on the. So of that day, Jim, it's funny. I have very fuzzy memories of it.
Yeah.
You know, really very little memories of the day itself. I suppose you were in the you were so young, and you were focused on the game. You were in the zone and focused on the game and all of that. But one poignant memory that I have, and this is amazing. We were down. Do you remember there was a hotel in the middle of Newry? It was the Imperial back, and it's no longer there now. And so we were there for some reason. Must have been getting a cup of tea or something, and I just wandered down to the front of the foyer to watch the traffic going through Newry, buses mainly. And Mum and Dad would have gone on the Ansborough bus, driven by Teddy Hardy. And just by chance, an unbelievable chance, while I was there for those few minutes, the Ansborough bus went past, and I saw Mum, my dear Mum's face framed in the window, smiling. She was smiling, but she didn't see me. And so I remember thinking, right, I want to make sure that she has that smile on her face.
Yeah.
Wasn't that amazing? Just one of those amazing coincidences. And then after the game, Jim, we would have travelled by bus to the hotel, remember, that we used to stay in first before we were going to the banquet. And that was, so we were going down through O'Connell Street, and it started to rain that evening. And the Down supporters, you know, the paper
hats
that they had, and there were hundreds of them dancing in the rain. And the dye had begun to run down onto their faces. And you realised in that moment, when you saw the ecstasy of those people, you realised, goodness gracious, what have we done here? This is just something special, to put your own people in that frame of mind, that is what has happened. So I don't know if you have any other memories, Jim. Oh, we went to the dance. Remember, we got fed up. We got fed up with the speeches.
Yeah.
And we went to, I think it was somewhere in O'Connell Street. There was a big ceilidh used to happen. Was it in the Mansion House?
Club, no.
Was that?
Wasn't the television club?
It was some big place, and then because of the All-Ireland final and the Irish diaspora from working in Dublin, Sunday night, huge crowds at it. So we were there, Jim, because we got fed up listening to those speeches, you see, and we left and went to the dance, and I was dancing with this girl. She was a dub. And she says, "Are you down for the match?" And I says,
I was playing.
"Well, I was actually playing." And she said, go, do you hear him? He said he was playing the match. So it was a very bad chat-up line. It didn't work for me at all.
Yeah.
So I wonder, you see, you think about it in those days, there was less photographs, or less, you know, I wonder, did she ever see my photograph again?
Yeah.
Somewhere to do with the thing, and Jesus, he was playing that guy.
Yeah.
That's right. So
Absolutely amazing stories, and as I say, it's great that these stories can be told for younger generations, Colin, because a lot of people wouldn't have a clue. You think now, you know, with this everything now players get, they're treated like kings compared to like when you were playing football.
That's true. Before our games in Leitrim, Leitrim had no pitch, but the pitch of Bernie McAnalty's, and there was a rock in the middle of it to mark the 50.
unbelievable.
And before the match, usually you had people out with shovels clearing the hardship of the field, and making sure there was no big thistles or whatever in the middle of it. But no, they were great days, and we enjoyed it. And like Colin said there earlier about the friendships that you built during with other teams.
Yeah.
And he maybe built those friendships, but I didn't.
You still had great.
That's why you're sitting at a distance from those lads there.
I hated getting beat.
And I'm sure, Colin, you can recall some great games against Brainsford in the 70s.
Well, they were terrific games, terrific.
And big crowds.
One particular game, the championship. No, it wasn't the championship. It had to be a league match. Or would it have been the championship? Would Leitrim have played Brainsford and Newcastle in the championship?
Yeah.
Well, then it must have been the championship. But I remember we were leading, coming near the end of the game. And Leitrim got a 50. And I took it. And I was just dropping it in front of Big Tony. No, sorry. Brainsford is all the way around. Brainsford got a 50. And Cecil Ward took the 50. And the ball come in, I called in the square, and Big Tony was standing about 30 yards out. And I just popped it to him. And Cecil Ward come and flicked it round him and stuck it over the bar.
Good God.
And that,
My gosh.
and that's what won the game for the Ford.
Cecil was good at that. Basketball, that's a basketball, you know.
Yeah.
Thinking of the ball all the time.
Saying that, Tony didn't give my blessing.
Yeah, after. He had a few choice words for him, I'm sure, Colin.
No, but they were great day.
Yeah, yeah. And
Play with this man in the middle of the field or something.
I remember asking you this before, Colin, and you told me, which I thought was a great story, of playing with your son in the 91 championship final.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Downpatrick beat you that day by a point or 2 points or something. That must be a great memory for you.
Oh, it's special because I don't think, I think it's unique that. I don't think it's happened. It maybe has happened.
And
maybe
reserve footballer.
Yeah. Reserve or intermediate or junior, and I'm not knocking any of that. It's still a terrific thing. But at senior level.
Yeah.
And then that was 1991. And
were you 43 at that time,
I
Colin?
was 43 and he was 17.
Yeah, unreal.
So we played, I remember, we beat Shamrocks in Bourne in the championship. He was playing as well. I was playing centre half forward. He was playing wing half forward. And then we played Loughlin Island in the semi-final. Huge match it was as well because there was huge crowds went.
That's right,
Remember
and especially with Down winning
the All-Ireland,
yeah,
huge crowds, and there was a massive interest in it. Yeah, so it's a huge honour and a regret at the same time.
Yeah,
because we had come so close to winning it. But yeah. Oh yeah, I suppose you have to say that it's probably one of my proudest achievements to have played with my son in a. I don't think it would have PJ me. You know maybe the history, but I don't think it's happened before.
Never. Yeah.
Possibly maybe in Ulster.
And then I remember moving on a couple of years, Colin, in '94, Castlewellan won the championship. And Colin, I think, was playing. I remember interviewing you, your late father, and your son, Colin Ogue. And that was nice too, to get the three generations together.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true, okay. Oh, no, special, really special occasions, no doubt about that.
I suppose Colin and the two Colins and Jim, we could talk here all night, but we have to hear a few other people here in this group. And as I say, Colin, I think this here could be an example for other counties and neighbouring clubs that they can maybe do something like this, especially for future generations.
No doubt about that, and share stories.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair to PJ McGee and Leitrim, the Leitrim club have been absolutely brilliant at the club histories. I love reading the club histories of any club. And, Leitrim, thanks to dedicated people like PJ and the late Michael McCartan and others, but mostly driven by that combination there, have recorded stories. Because I remember, PJ, you had a recording of several of us. You were there too, Colin, and Willie Doyle and the late PJ McElroy and stuff like that. A recording of that. That's there for posterity. It really is.
And there isn't enough Hugh Smith. He scored 3 goals in the 1927 hurling was also recorded.
Imagine, yeah. You know, so an awful lot is lost. Even the stories that we share at these gatherings are going to be, you know, they'll be lost unless they're recorded.
Well,
And
what I was going to say to you is, in 1995, Ballykinler's pitch, Tagbarry Park, was 40 years old. So the Ballykilner club at that time got myself and Ray Ross to go around all the old fields where Ballykilner played, and then we had done interviews in the Ballykilner club that night in 1985 with Paddy Docherty, his father John Docherty, and then a whole lot of other guests, John Smith, Paddy McAvoy, all different ones, and that I actually have that at home. So to have that, and I might just actually take it to the group someday and let you see it, Colin. It's nice to look back and things like that, and I'm sure you 3 gentlemen played in Tagbarry Park and Ballykilner many occasions.
Many occasions, because it used to be, it was a championship venue.
Yeah.
Very often for championship matches.
Small pitch.
A small pitch, and it created sort of an atmosphere, all right.
And of course, you know, that's going to be the new down home, Colin. I'm sure you're like the rest, everybody else in this room. It'd be great to see something like that.
Long overdue, exactly, because you know, Down have thankfully a wonderful legacy. And I must say, have you seen the recording of the history of Gaelic football?
Yes,
there?
yes, lately.
And Sean O'Neill, I thought made a brilliant you know, contribution to it. You know, where in that sort of, you know, direct way that Sean talks, and determined way that he talks, it was absolutely brilliant. But I think, you know, Bransford there, what a record you would have had to have had and don't have a club history written down. It's a shame that, isn't it?
Yeah.
As Bourne either.
Well, I'm not actually sure whether they wrote a history or not, but as you were saying,
all the clubs. Kilcoo had an earlier one, I know, Tommy, I remember. 2 now.
Yeah.
Is there one in a more recent one?
2007.
Right, okay.
well, a lot of clubs, Colin, probably when they're 100 years old, would do a history as such. You know, well, as I say, it's been great to talk to Jim Milligan, Colin McIllarney, and Colin Shields. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here's our mine.
Three gentlemen, all the way from Brainsford on our left-hand side there. You can see Mr. Willie Kane in the centre, Mickey Cunningham, and Mickey had 7 or 8 brothers playing for his beloved Brainsford at one time. And to the left, or to the right rather, of Mickey, we have Cathal Digney, a great Savile man. Cathal has just joined this illustrious group this afternoon. First of all, we'll start off with Willie Kane. Well, Willie, you played for the Ford for many, many years, and you were beat, as I was saying, in the Ireland final there early against East Kerry. Tell us about the days playing for Brainsford. You know, every time you put the green and gold jersey on you, you must have had a great lot of pride.
Oh, with some great days. This is the most important thing here, meeting up with their friends here after, like Colin Shields there.
Yeah, you and Colin would have met a few times in the football field, and you know, Colin says he didn't meet often enough, but on the field, Willie, there'd have been, you know, a lot of tension and what have you, but after the game was over, you would have shook hands and got on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably our team playing, I'd say the best team was the Leitrim team, and we were very lucky, especially I think 1973. We beat them after replay, I think. 74.
Both
74.
years.
Both years. We were very, very lucky that night to beat them.
Yeah.
We drew in Ballykilner one time, the chairman Colin had to go recently, man.
Right.
I think after the replay.
Yeah,
Right,
and
as well.
I suppose the first time I actually seen you 2 gentlemen playing, as I was saying earlier, my late father took me in 1970. You beat Bourne 3-11 to 4 points, and you 2 men scored quite a bit that day. Can you remember that game, Mickey Cunningham there?
Well, sure. Willie was our free taker, and when Sean Smith took over, he was a good free taker himself.
Mm-hmm.
And Willie would up and move from either side of the field, inside a radius of that arc, the new arc we have now. Willie could pop them over from out, and and Sean was always telling Billy, become that good that the referee would be writing down the point
Before it happened.
And that's...
And I suppose, Mickey, the art of free taking from the ground, there's not actually that many players do that now. And it was a great skill in itself, wasn't it?
Oh, I would say, a lot of the good players like Paddy Doherty and O'Neill and those guys there, you know, they pop it down and they can buck over the bar, you know, thing.
You
Looking back now, you know, from Brian's point of view,
yeah.
like the years like bringing up when Sean Smith came to our school, you know, we didn't get off on a very good note.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it could have been really a disaster because when he arrived, nothing to do with teaching, you know, there. But you know, he was from the Watching County in the as you know, and when he came, this particular day, some guy from up there came with this big box on top of it. I'm saying, this size here, square, maybe 150 yards, you know. But some of the guys anyway went out and says, there's a Smith has got a box on in the back. Some one went out, another went out, in and out. Then they'd all afternoon, and we hit the morning. Whenever Smith got back to go to check the apples, there was one left, and it was rotten. So the next day, he called us all in. By God, I tell you, he laid down the law, and we got slapped and bit. But like in them days, you couldn't say at home because you'd got another beating when you were at home. So anyway, but that was only at the start of the day. But Oliver went to him and said, look, we're thinking of wanting somebody to train us. And he called on the master. He says, Master, would you take over and train us and manage the team, you know? And he looked right at it and he says, right, I'll meet you, but he says, I'll have to have a word before you start. So I raised him down and he met us down in the park anyway and talked to us and all. He says, very good, everything's okay. But he says, I'll take you on, but there's one thing I don't want you to be doing is fighting. He says, I want you to play football, stand up for yourselves, don't be letting these and back yourself up. But he says, and what you do, you know, I want you to do this and that. And he says, you do it, we'll get on well, you know. And way back then, we started off, 1967, we won a junior championship medal. And the next year we got to the senior championship final. Mitchell's beat us in the final. The following year, we won, and that we won, I think it was ABC leagues, won the league the same year. Next year we won down, we won the Ulster. Following year we won down, won Ulster, and we won the league again, and we stepped up to the following year with the league. And looking back on it, well, from my own point of view, that I was glad to have so many brothers playing, and with Three Nations, and with Willie Assassin, Oliver, and Dermot and Amar, and a few other boys. We had a very small squad because when Peachy got, my brother Peachy got the line, getting the man alone from Balachi, that we would only want to get King as a sub, and we hadn't too many more boys on the line, you know, that was maybe right to step up. But looking back, and at that time, somebody arranged for the McGoverns to play the Twillinghams and Ballymartin at the Sevens. So we had 5 that played on the team. But we had two, brother Gerald and brother Nicky didn't play much. He didn't play in fact at all. But McGoverns had about 10 footballers, you know, at that time. But we played them anyway, and one of the brothers said he would play goals, and the other fellow he said to play midfield. But it wasn't that good, but he used to get we'd get the ball in his shoulder on, you know, we couldn't get the ball at him. Then the thing, he probably would have given it away till the born man, you know. But we fought on, and we got a bit of a point. So it was a good achievement to play with the boys and stuff, you know.
So basically, Mickey, what you're saying, Brainsford wouldn't have won what they did win without Sean Smith training them.
Oh, big time,
Yeah.
you know.
I-
Like I remember one particular time, a wee small dressing room we had in St Patrick's Park, and there was gas heating, gas showers and stuff together there. I remember one particular time anyway, that he was dwelling into this possibility of stalling us to win, you know, and to this and telling you playing to win and being positive, you know. But I remember we were playing Bourne, and Bourne was by experience and strong and all that there. And I remember Bourne's heading out, he was shouting back, "Oh, we should have, Master, should have, they're strong and they're very good and there." And I remember him yet putting his hand across the door and he stopped Burns and he said, "Turn round there, Burns," he says. "Get that out of your head that we're not fit, that we'll beat any team that's put in front of us. If they play football, we play football and we'll win." Never forgot it. That he was still this thing in positive in our head to be winning, you know.
Well,
It's good. I'm talking about Willie here.
Yeah.
Also, I'm talking about this guy here. Great footballer. Saville were very lucky not to win a championship down in Newcastle. They played Burn off the field and Burn got really go near the end. I think it was a draw and then they go back. But to play with this man and the brother was an honour to have him and to play with him. And the rest of the boys as well, they played with the county.
Yeah.
And the rest of the Brentford team, it was good to play with him.
Well, Cathal, you're very welcome to the group here, as they say, and to be sitting beside two great Brainsford men. I'm sure it's a great feat in itself for you.
I know, whenever we were playing, when we were playing junior, you looked up to Brainsford and what they were attaining at the time, winning. And then whenever we got to meet them and play against them, we were in the wrong end of the result, but they were always a great sporting team to play.
They're a very fast team, and they played a great brand of exciting
football.
Yeah.
And you know, superbly coached by Sean Smith, who would have coached us at county level, and as I was saying to Colin there, he was years and years, 30, 40, 50 years ahead of his time in coaching, and his approach to the game. So we were very lucky there, and very unlucky not to win in All-Ireland. You know, they were Kerry, North Kerry, or half a Kerry. East Kerry. So yeah.
As Michael said there, you played in the 1981 championship final, went to the second match. Can you recall them two games, Cathal?
Yeah, they were good games. Yeah, probably were a bit unlucky, but
the first game had finished 11 points each.
Is that what it was? I just forget.
Yeah.
But you look at Burn, they went on to win All Irelands after that. So
yeah,
if you're beaten by a team that's a pedigree like that, it's bad enough, but at least it helps a little.
And then you had experience of playing with Down.
Yes.
Can you tell us a few stories about that, Cathal?
Well, I suppose I remember playing against Jerry, your man Lynch, Mickey Lynch. He roasted me that day. They won it. I think we played them then 2 years later in Casement. We beat them, and I was marking him again. So I sort of got revenge on him. But I suppose we were unlucky. We played Donegal in a final. I think we were winning by 8 or 9 points, maybe 10 points. A few dubious refereeing decisions. I think that game was drawn, and then they beat us by a point or two in the replay. Is that right, Colin?
That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They had a good team, but I think we were as good as they were. We had Colin and Sean O'Neill and Dan McCartan, Mickey. You know, we were very unlucky that day.
And I suppose nowadays with the new rules and that, what's your views on that, Cathal? You know, they seem to.
I think the new rules are great. I was saying to the boys, I hadn't been at a county match there in years, and I think the first match I'd been there was the Louth match and the Derry or the Monaghan match and the Galway match. Super games, super football, enjoyable football. Yeah, definitely.
I suppose it's bringing people back to the games, and they were sort of dwindling there for a while, especially with this hand passing game, as I called it, and very slow build up.
It was terrible. I felt both teams were afraid of losing the game rather than going out to win the game.
Yeah.
And until somebody scored a goal or somewhere, I got into the second half and they wanted to try and win the game. But it was very negative football. It's a much more attacking game now, and these 2 points make an exciting, and the kickouts out to the midfield. It's a better game, catching and
I'm sure you played a few games against our host here, young John McComiskey over to your right there, Cathal.
yeah.
Clonduff and Savile, I'm sure there was a few tasty games.
Games there, isn't right, Johnny?
Some we won't talk about.
So we're not talking about it, right?
And
No, sure. You'd go back to the worst day, wouldn't you?
And as we say, Cathal, it's great that people can meet like this.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether all our counties do this or not. I'm sure there are groups that stay together. And I can remember Colin, a fellow teacher at St Mark's, Peter Rooney, meeting, still friends with the great Jimmy Keaveney.
Yes.
Because two of them played for Down in Dublin at the time. And I think it's great that, respective county players can still meet up with each other as well.
Oh, it's terrific altogether. But I think if you went to All Ireland, that bonds the team together. But it's great when there were teams that maybe weren't as successful as the All Ireland teams, get together like Mickey and Coleman out there. It's great, definitely, and really.
And to be in a part of Hilltown here, out towards Mayo Bridge, and the setting here is unbelievable where Johnny lives here, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I see if you're at the top of the hill, you can go over and see Savile. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think I played a bit for Bourne 16s and minors, but I can remember playing in Digny's Meadow. I'm sure you have some great memories of Digny's Meadow, Cal.
Oh, I have some good memories, some bad memories.
Yeah.
Jim probably has a bad memory. Jim was unfortunate and had a bad injury in the field. Him and I just crashed it with Jim.
We had it, yeah.
A bit of an altercation, was it?
No.
It was a slight coming together.
Oh, right.
That was all. It was just purely accidental, and I didn't know if it was my leg or Jim's leg, and unfortunately it turned out to be Jim's leg.
Well, as I say, Willie, Michael and Cathal, it's been a pleasure speaking to you here this afternoon up on the townland of Lead, and hopefully there'll be many more gatherings like this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Very good.
We're joined now by three illustrious gentlemen here, all the way from Newcastle and County Down. Mr. PJ McGee, a great Leitrim Fontenoy man, a man who helped produce the Leitrim Fontenoy's history. In the middle we have our host here and cousin of my own, Mr. John McComiskey. And to John's left we have a great Kilcoo Gael, Mr. Tommy Grant. First of all, we'd start off with PJ. Well, PJ, they tell me that you're the man that got this group up and running. How did you select the people for it, PJ?
There's a serious process on it. With a lot of tests and various things. I managed to break it down to these people.
Yes.
And I wonder now have I made a mistake somewhere along the way. No, just a group of us. Well, I've been up with Colin and Johnny and that from time to time, and Nicky, and just we can't get Colin Shields. You never met with him now.
Yes,
recently.
that's right.
He'd always be the sale yard.
Yes.
That was a big problem with him.
He's a great judge of a beast, I'm told.
That's one different parish.
We added as we went along, so this is the group we have, and we're delighted. It's a pleasure for me because I'm probably the only really non-footballer here. I played a bit all right,
Yeah.
but everybody else is a real footballer here, and it's a pleasure for me to be in the company of these people here, So,
and beside you here we have our host, John McComiskey, and where John lives here, we're just talking earlier there about the views from this setting here. It's absolutely beautiful, PJ.
Brilliant. I've been up here a good few times here at this house, and Johnny, just as a credit to him, the whole place, and the job he's done with this cottage and all, just is super, and it's a nice, as somebody said earlier on there, it's like an old style ceilidh, where you just get together and a few anecdotes and a bit of crack.
Well,
and that's really what makes
as
it.
people say, what's your script for the afternoon? I don't do a script, or if I'm making a speech, PJ, there's nothing is wrote down as such. It's off the cuff. And as I say, Johnny, it's been a pleasure to be here with you this afternoon, and we have some great Gaels here, people with All-Ireland medals and that, and you're a man that tells me you go to every All-Ireland, you've been at 50 in a row, and fair play to you. And ladies and gentlemen, John and his wife Teresa will be celebrating their golden wedding anniversary now in August, 50 years. So fair play to you, John and Teresa.
Fair play, right.
Johnny, you must be very proud to host an event like this. This is my second time, as I say. We met up in the Burndale about January, February time, and to meet all these gentlemen here, you know, it was a great honour for me, and I'm sure you're privileged to host an event like this.
Well, before I start, it's very hard here to follow after the 6 super players we had, all in their own right. So I think they deserve a round of applause. I watched them boys down the years playing club and county, and I admired them all. So that's first of all. Well, no, to follow on after what these men has done, the highlight of my playing career now was back in the late 80s, Philip Pat Hanaway took over Drumgath. And after about 6 matches, bad turnouts at training and everything, he quit. So I went to Drumgath school, and with a bit of loyalty to Drumgath, I said I'd stay on. So that was all right. Nights maybe 9 at training, nights maybe 14 at training, maybe 17 for a match. But there's this particular game in Drumgath, there was 14 turned up. And we're playing, there's a breakaway team in Kilwarren at the time, St Michael's.
Yes.
And we're playing Drumgath, and sure, I had to strip out and play. And God, who turned up to referee it? Only Paddy Morgan from Clonduff. And I had to go to Paddy before the game
And tell him.
and say to him, Paddy, we're stuck in players, you don't know me, nor you never seen me before.
Yes.
So as far as playing goes, that was the highlight of my playing career.
Yeah.
Right, that's it.
And
Did you win?
I think we won by a point, I kicked the win point.
And Johnny, we were talking earlier on there about Leitrim and Clonduff meeting in the 2000 championship final, and you actually were manager of Leitrim, and you told me there you never thought that Leitrim would actually get to the final that year, and it was a great feat in actually getting there, but to be defeated by your own club that you had played for many years. I'm sure there was a bit of mixed emotions that day.
It was the last game I wanted to be involved in.
Yes.
But you go back to Leitrim, it was the first I managed Clonduff for 4 years before that. But to go outside your own club to take on another team is a big undertaking. And people said to me when I went down to Leitrim, what the hell took you down to them idiots? You won't be fit to handle them. And I have to say, not 1 ounce of trouble that I got with the Leitrim players. Hurling or nothing. Never, I didn't get involved in the hurling. We trained Sunday, Monday night. I would have said to them on Monday night, who do you play in the hurling? We play Portferry. Good, that'll be a tough game, boys, good luck. Wednesday night we trained. How did you do last night? We won or beat. Match on a Friday night, back round the same circle. We're training that often. That they had only time to play their hurling, and there was never no problem. The McCrickers, all them boys, they gave everything they had to me, so it was brilliant. But it was the last thing I ever thought that we'd be playing Clonduff in a county final 3 years after went down. But as you mentioned there, Pat Mournes, I've been great with Pat, and I was saying to Pat, just like, how do I go? Like, I know very little about training or anything. He says, I tell you what you'll do. Go up and talk to Joe Kiernan. I says, good, I don't know Joe that. He says, I'll ring him and I'll tell him you're going to have up to Joe and sit down and do you know anything about these boys? What I says, and absolutely know nothing about them, Joe. Well, he says, tell you one thing. He says, get them fit. He says, give me all different runs to do 200 metres, 100 metres and all this here. And I think they nearly thought they were living in Caswellan Park. They went to it that often, you know. So that was the wee difference. Then most of the teams later played at that time, their fitness level got them over the line. But I remember the very first game we played Tyrconnell in the East Down League in Tyrconnell. And we're getting beat by 5 points with about 10 minutes to go. And Jesus, the next thing the row started. And Piers McCricker, he is away out across about a field and a half after this bite.
Did he ever catch him, Johnny? He did. Yes.
Beating the life of him. And the two of them come back then, after they beat the life of 1.5 or 2 or 3 minutes, they come back talking.
Yeah.
And the referee threw in the ball, Nobody sent off nor none. And just we ended up, we got a draw. The best thing ever happened. They were playing no until the bit of a rumpus started. And I just wonderful, mine playing Caswell one night in Caswell. And we're getting beat 5 or 6 points. And Collie Cassidy, he was along with me along the line, but was playing a wee bit like. Collie says, put me on, I want to get on here. He wasn't on 2 seconds too. He got a melee started. You know what I mean? And they said it was just a friendly get together. Like it was nothing real serious. There was nobody hospitalised or nothing like. And ended up winning the game. So the moral of the story was it was Leitrim had players, it was only when they got revved up a wee bit.
Got them going.
That got them going. You had the next game in Middleton, which was a brilliant, he was the captain. And I must say, he was the best captain ever that any team ever I managed that there was. He had everything. There was a couple of players, I'm not going to mention them, and there had been boys sitting in the corner of the dressing room, but you were talking, they were. So I hadn't said none. All Eamon would have said, no matter who come about here and manage, they were the problem. Yeah. The manager was the problem. Shut up. And then what I said at the end of training, Eamon, we're going to play 10 minutes of the game. Right. Any chance you get, do them 2 boys. And Eamon would assure if he could have a chance, he hadn't beat them. So after a while, they realised that it was time to shut up.
There you have it. And beside yourself there, Johnny, we have Tommy Grant. And funny, I travelled up part of the way with Tommy here today, and I was telling him the last time I was in his house was the morning of the 12th of February 2022, Tommy, prior to going to Dublin to the All-Ireland final that day. It was the second time Kilcoo had been there, and as I say, there was great excitement, Tommy. And tell us when the final whistle went, what you felt, Tommy.
Pinching yourself to see was it right.
Yeah.
Am I in Croke Park? Did we win this? But
when you go back away to the start, Tommy, you know, Kilcoo were down in the low echelons of down football, Division 4 and Division 3 for many years, but they got this youth policy going, and people will always say to me, why can our teams not play like Kilcoo? What do you think the secret is, Tommy, or is it just natural ability?
Getting the footballers involved.
Yeah, ex-players.
Yeah, getting them involved, I think, was
the secret. And do you think a lot of players now, good players that play for county and different things and what have you, leave the game and don't take nothing to do it, whereas...
Yeah, a lot of cases that's the way it is.
Yeah.
But we seem to think once we get the players involved, we start to get results. And I'd say that was the...
You need a bit of luck to win anything, Tommy, and you had that little bit that day.
Was on it,
yeah.
To be honest, but
that Kilmacud's goalkeeper, I'm sure his nightmares a bit.
We had, but they only had a good game the next year, so.
Well, that's true.
Sure.
They were a bit like yourselves, Tommy. You have to lose one to know what it's like to win one, and that's what happened to Kilmacud Crooks.
If it had been anybody else, they would have took a black card and give us a free in, but. 3 defenders seem to keep backing off, and
yeah.
we're lucky enough to get the goal. So
yeah, and as I say, Tommy, your views on these new rules, a lot of people seem to like them. I'm not a great one for this 2-pointer because I think any footballer should be able to kick a ball from 40 yards out.
Yeah,
but
I think it has improved the game.
It certainly has.
Watch it now.
I think with the kick out, you know, going beyond the 40-metre line.
No, you can watch it now. Like,
yeah, a bit more excitement. Yeah. Well, PJ, you've trained quite a few teams too over the years, and a few teams to All-Ireland success, and I'm sure you can recall many great games that you were involved with St Malachy's High School over the years.
There was a few, you know, been very lucky. Funny, I just want to say this here now, I'm talking about Sean Smith. I knew nothing about really coaching or anything until I worked with Leitrim on the 14s way back in 1974, and I was helping Colin there, Colin McLarney, and I learned an awful lot of stuff from Colin. And Colin in turn would have said that what we did, he learned from Sean Smith. So Sean Smith, you know, spread his gospel message very, very wide, you know. And I always thought of, you know, as I said, I looked upon Colin as the greatest influence in terms of coaching, And you learn from those things. But the most important thing about, you know, we talk about coaches and all, most important thing is you have good players. You know, the coach does his work okay and tries to organise them. And yes, Sean Smith was years ahead in terms of his coaching, but you also need good players. I was looking at some Malagas and even at Rostrava and that, like, you know, Iron medal winners like, you know, Aidan Farrell and Jareth Austin and those boys, and fantastic players like Lloyd Power and that. And no matter where you go, you need that bit of luck as well. Johnny, remember this, we were playing the semi-final that year of the senior championship against Clonduff in Uri. And I used to meet with the players on the morning of the match, about 10 o'clock or something in the morning, and then we'd go home, because usually the match was in the evening time. But I could show you, I still had the book actually where it said, no matter we're 5 points down, with 3 minutes left, we're going to win the game. And it's funny, it's a mental thing. So we were 5 points down with 3 minutes left, and I know that there were a number of Clonduff players, or Clonduff supporters, who had left and actually gone to drink in Rostrava, and they were crowing and that. And then somebody arrived in,
told them,
said, "What are you crowing about?" We got a goal in the very last kick of the game, nearly. And what happened was Martin Sherry buried the ball in the back of the net, and as he was coming out, the Clonduff full back, who should have been nameless, buried him. So I think if he hadn't buried Martin Sherry, I think Mickey Cronny, who was known as equaliser, because there was that many matches ended up as a draw. Mickey might have allowed a wee bit more time. Clonduff might have got a draw out of it, but we're very lucky. So what I'm saying is, you get a bit of luck, and that's what really, we got a bit of luck, you know.
Well, as Tommy says there, Kilcoo needed that little bit of luck too against the Crooks that second time. They'd lost the previous final, PJ, but they always say you should keep knocking at the door and the door will eventually open. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I was at both those finals that Kilcoo played, and I mean, honestly thought they were dead and gone that day.
Yeah.
And it was a decision actually by, I think it was Aaron Bronigan actually, who got the ball from the goalkeeper's kick and gave it straight to, it must have been Shailen Johnson. Shailen.
Yeah.
And then they transferred into, he made the run and then gave it into Ryan, who took the shot, and then Jerome got it. But it was just playing, it was Kilcoo playing to the end and never ever giving up. I think that's another lesson learned, never ever.
Yeah, you were speaking there about Rostrava. Yeah, you were in again the Bridge, who was their first final in a long time, and I think a lot of them guys thought that day PJ had only had a turn up to take that Frank O'Hare Cup home, but you had Rostrava well schooled, and I think you had a reunion there. Was it last year or the year previous, PJ? A 25-year reunion, and that night I'm sure recalled some great memories for you.
Oh yeah, it's like here today, where, you know, it's memories we're talking about here. We're not really talking about even the matches as such.
Yeah.
We'll mention them, but you're talking about the wee anecdotes and that kind of thing, you know. And that's the important thing. That's what you learn. You don't talk about the medals and all that kind of stuff. It's the memories that are the most important thing. And you know, I love reading there. Even I'm reading a paper, a newspaper report. I like reading the wee anecdotes and that.
Yeah.
Because you know, you like the bit of crack and that sort of thing. I just want to mention a couple of things here now. First of all, I want to mention Johnny. Johnny's the only man in history who has won intermediate championships with 3 different clubs. Don't know whether anyone's aware of that.
Yeah.
Ballymartin, Warren Point, and with Leitrim, and then of course he won the first Ulster club with Leitrim. And I also want to thank him and Teresa for the hospitality and generosity here today. Exceptional.
Here. Well, I honestly think that Johnny, even though he's a cousin of my own, would make a great tourist guide. Because he can certainly talk. And you were talking there, PJ, about, I'll tell you a wee story, folks, about me and PJ. St. Malachy's were playing in an Ulster final against Virginia College, and PJ rung me up to see could I get off work to go. And it was I think it was coming near the end of March, so I hadn't many leave days left. And he says, see what you can do. So I managed to get the day off, and me and my cameraman, Ray Ross, who was a great friend, and we went to many matches over 25 years. But we went to Brewster Park that day, and as I say, St Malachy's were getting well beat at half time, 1-7 to 0-5. Virginia were all over them, and they scored the first point of the second half. And then St Malachy's took over, the twin Flanagans and Paul Devlin and what have you. But I always remember PJ interviewing him after and the emotion he showed, and they reckon you're not a man at all if you can't show emotion. And I have to say, he's real gentleman, and it's just to be an honour to be in his company and the rest of the men here this afternoon. So I would just like to thank you all. I'm not forgetting our cameraman, who nobody can see here. I met this man in 2011, first time I'd met him, born plate Clonduff, and I've been with him his last 14 years, a real gentleman, Nicky McAtee. I would like to give him all a round of applause, please. So, thank you to PJ, to Johnny, to Tommy, to Willie, to Mickey, to the two columns, and to Jim. It's been a pleasure here up on Lead Hilltown, and no doubt we will meet again in the not too... And not forgetting our new colleague here, Cathal Digney. How can I forget Cathal? I remember Cathal because Cathal played in the very first match that I commentated way back in 1981. So from Lead here in Hilltown, till we see you again, it's goodbye.
Very good.